Okay, good day everyone. This is Das, also the most handsome, yakable Africanicious, adrenaline pumping a physical husband. And as usual, I'm having beside me my most beautiful, scintillating, pepperoni, sugarlicious, hot baby girl.
Good day, everyone. You're welcome to the live stream today. It's a pleasure to have you around. It's an interesting topic we're having today.
So we just want to look at something that is obvious because the continent of Africa has always been in the hand of Amoton Darie. I need to explain that to you because the continent of Africa is going through a lot in the sense that some people have seen this continent as a means of livelihood so far they can continue to influence the destabilization, the creation of chaos, terror, and all the likes. And if we get to the drawing table to now begin to investigate why is Africa always running from one war challenge to the other, then we begin to ask ourselves who actually are benefiting from the war that is sparking up life right and center in the continent of Africa. Who is benefiting? Because majority of whatever equipment or the instruments of war are not even produced within the continent of Africa. Ó ṣe wá jẹ́ pẹ́yìn ilẹ̀ ń lò jù. The meaning of that is that why is it now that it is the continent that is least in the production of these weapons of mass destruction that is now currently undergoing incessant fighting, destabilization, war, terror, and the likes. A lot of this has been brought to limelight by one of the most renowned African Professor Lumumba, in which he clearly, unequivocally stated the fact that the so-called West are one of the reasons, in short, they are the major reason why Africa, the continent of Africa, is going through the season of Orikpepe Demoy. And as a factual statement, you will begin to see when we begin to ask ourselves the question, the weapons of mass destruction, whether it is AK-47, AK-49, AK whatever range, is whether it is a fighter jet and the likes, which countries are producing such? And you and I know that whenever there is production, there should be what? Demand. So if someone is producing an instrument of war that is not being purchased, don't you think as a businessman, they need to what? Create market for it because demand, they say what? Create his own supply. And supply can also create its own demand. So it's just something logical that we need to begin to settle down and ask ourselves this question. If African continent or African countries are not always renowned for the production of war instruments, why is it that it is the continent of Africa that is always brewing one trouble or the other, whereby they are now demanding for the importation of the object or the subject or the object of this man's destruction? So we begin to ask more of this question. I want us to listen to this video while we'll come back to continue on this topic because the continent of Africa needs to wake up because some people are actually making money from us killing ourselves. And it's high time we stood up for the right thing. Okay? So I just want us to listen to this and we
that the colonial power has not left us. We must recognize that he did not go willingly. And if we don't check them, they'll come back again. And what would little Central African Republic do against them? Today, he is right. Today, If we remember the activities of France and how they propped up the regime of Jean Bedel Bokassa, he was right. Today, as the Honorable Minister has indicated, Africa remains the only continent in the world that is referred to in these terms, Anglophone, to mean that we are a sphere of our erstwhile colonizers. About 2 weeks ago, there was a meeting of the Commonwealth in London, England, and a friend of mine who is an Anglophile sent me the photographs very gleefully, saying this is a meeting of 53 equal states. I told him, no. If it were so, why is it that the leadership of the Commonwealth is hereditary rather than rotational? In other words, in the minds of the British, her former colonies are still under her tutelage. And I want to submit to us that in the minds of what I'll call the conceptual West, they think they have a divine duty to instruct Africans what to do.
True.
And in the minds of many African leaders, they think that they have a divine duty to accept what they are told. That, in my view, is what the Honorable Minister was talking about, the mindset. And this is something that has been examined. We have seen in France and its very pernicious presence in Africa. We know what they did in Burkina Faso against Thomas Sankara. We know what they did in Mali or the Sudan against Modibo Keita or against Sekou Touré in Guinea. Pernicious to the core. The Portuguese, we know what battles had to be fought in that area. And let me put this very bluntly. When the former leader of Portugal, Marcelo Caetano, was asked, why can you not allow the colonies to gain independence? This is what he said in substance. As I have examined world history over the years, the following have emerged. That the Caucasians have been responsible for monumental discoveries in the development of man. So have the Chinese, so have the Arabs. But the Africans have been responsible for nothing. They are only fit as hewers of wood and drawers of water. And I want to submit to you who are present here that in the conceptual West's unguarded moments, that is what they think. And that is how they relate to Africa. Kwame provided the solution. He did not complain about colonialism. He said, we must live here with one army, with one command. We must live here with one currency. We must live here with one currency, one country. I do not know where its capital will be, but I suggest Leopoldville or Bangui. Other leaders may have their thoughts. Kwame was right, but who listened to him? Several years down the line, and I've said it in my paper, there were coups d'etats which were engineered, there were mutinies which were engineered, and other forms of destabilization. And I want to believe that the person who actually said it very well in the 1980s was the former American President Ronald Reagan. He said, the United States of America does what is in her best interest. And I agree with him. Does Africa do what is in her best interest? Do African leaders do what is in the best interest of Africa? Interference will be there in very blatant and brazen ways and in subtle ways. He is asked, until very recently, how many African countries manufactured bullets? Very few. Until very recently, how many African countries, in fact, how many African countries manufacture jet fighters? How many African countries are involved in the arms industry? Some of the leading conceptual West countries which pontificate to us about prizes, peace prizes, are the leading manufacturers of landmines. And if you look at their foreign exchange earners, it is the military and security items. So they say with their mouths, what do they not believe in their hearts? In Kiswahili we say, vita vya panzi furaha ya kunguru. That when the locusts are fighting, it is the joy of the hawk. Because when they kill each other, they get the food easily, dead.
You can imagine exactly what sorry for that. You can imagine exactly what he was talking about there, because majority of what this guy do is pure hypocrisy. Hypocrisy in the sense that lots of African leaders that try to defend the rights of their people are either killed, removed from office. They even instigate fellow citizens against the right leader just for them to have their puppet installed. I just want us to be looking at the points that the prof is bringing out here one by one. And someone is telling you about peacekeeping here and there, but they are actually benefiting. Their major source of income is from war equipment. So where is the peace that they are trying to
And
keep?
they will instigate the war so that when the war starts, they can start ripping off their own benefits. And while the people are dying, they are making their own profits. They are getting away with whatever they want to get away with. They are selling all their equipment, and yet we Africans, some of us, we wear which type of
It's so many Africans, like they are being covered, they are being shielded from seeing the right way, and it's just so pathetic. I want us to just continue with the video.
It is in the best interest, I dare submit, without fear of contradiction, that the elite in the conceptual West does not want Africa to stabilize, despite their assertion to the contrary. And you'll see it in every country, because conflict is a major industry. Today, you look at South Sudan and the many peace conferences that are being held, but if you ask who supplies the arms, who provides safe havens, it is the conceptual West. And when I use the term conceptual West, I'm saying that it extends to countries which are geographically not in the West, like Australia or Canada. So I'm submitting in answer to your question, Joe, that interference is there, and it is part, to use this old cliche, of the neo-colonial project. The neo-colonial project requires that Africa must remain within the sphere of influence of these states. If you look at the United Kingdom, which has left Europe, one would have thought that those are their cousins and that they should sit in comfort with them. You will now see their involvement being de-emphasized in Europe, and their interest and appetite growing towards the Commonwealth. Because in the Commonwealth, they are the major domos. They'll tell us what to do. In Europe, they have to grapple with the Germans and the French, and they don't like it. That is the unspoken bit of it. The French also are in Europe, but the Germans are too strong, and they don't like it. So they want to hold Côte d'Ivoire, Gabon, and tell them what to do. I do not know how many of you saw the press conference that was attended by President Macron of France and Nana Addo of Ghana. And when Nana Addo spoke as an African should, you could see the body language of the French president. How dare this man speak this way? In other words, I'm saying that interference is the mother's milk. To answer your second question, they have their own recruits who Professor Philip Nying'oro will be speaking here. To use the old vocabulary of those days, they have the people you call their compras de bourgeoisie. You must remember. The compras de bourgeoisie are Africans with black faces, but essentially they are doing the bidding of these powers. They are the ones you'll find them in different spheres. And they will be present. They are in your cabinet, but they are actually representatives of the foreign intelligence agencies of those countries. We know this. If you look at the declassified papers from the United States, we now know that some of leading cabinet ministers in many African countries were working for the CIA or some Western agencies. So you are sitting in cabinet, and in these days of the mobile phone, they are possibly texting their masters in Europe and America. So interference is also exacerbated by these comprador bourgeois for their own benefits. And it has never changed, Honorable Minister. In the early days of slavery, they gave some of the chiefs mirrors and alcohol. Today, what they give them are flats in Paris or in Dubai. And that is what makes them undermine Africa. The third mode of interference is through institutions. Look at the competition as it is now. There is a new entrant into the market that is called China. China is very subtle. Many people wrote the obituary of Rwanda in 1994. 20 years down the line, it has been demonstrated that Africans can actually do it. Between 1983 and 1987, I think Thomas Sankara in Burkina Faso also demonstrated that it can be done. We saw in Somalia, despite their problem. So my prescription is African unity. Africa must now begin to negotiate initially in terms of blocks, SADC, ECOWAS, East African Community, and ultimately as African Union. And lo and behold, we must do it. And I've always said this cliche, we must do it because if we don't do it, we will be done. We must never...
So true. Wow. It's as true as air, because if Africans just continue to live the way we are living, deceiving ourselves, backstabbing each other, even acting as sellouts, just like our forefathers did, that they exchange our strong men for as little as bottle of gin, uh, as little as glass mirror and the likes, the continent will be totally milked out, and people will be set against each other to start killing themselves for fun. And these so-called secretive powers that are now being blown open, they will just be getting easy access to this. So, with that being said, Jim, how are you today?
I'm very well, thank you.
Okay, so how is your side over there?
Well, I what I gleaned, what I absorbed from that speech that I just heard was not only long ago did they provide sanctions, to hold down economic growth in Africa, but hi, Victor. Hey, Victor.
Say
Mwah.
hi.
Mwah. Hi, buddy. Hi. Yes, hello. Hi. You gonna be the CEO of Cetros Foundation someday? Yes, you are.
Just
You
continue.
are.
Don't mind. Don't
Okay.
mind me.
But I've got a couple of things, I'm gonna throw in the mix, and philanthropy. We've got Bill Gates and this philanthropy. I think it comes in a shadow form. They want to help, right? But long ago they already knew it was carved up. We know how this system works. You have an economic situation where you can sanction somebody. So let's just look at in the economic standards. If inflation is really bad in America, where is it worse in the world? Well, it's worse all over the world, right? You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
there. So what he's saying is colonialization is actually ruling the world. He's actually saying that. And everybody knows it. It's not a joke. Everybody knows that there's certain types of militaries around the world that control, where you can have. And by the way, how many? You were bringing this up. I was thinking about this. How many bases are in Africa? We talked about military bases before. I mean, if you're going to have colonial power, well, guess what? You're going to have intelligence on the ground. How do you get intelligence on the ground? Well, you have a base. And I mean, Africa should kick out every single American base. Uh, Africa should kick out every single, every. If you guys want it, you guys vote on it. Fine. Okay, fine. You guys want it, but fine. But I don't think, personally speaking, that having, and with the amount of minerals just in Africa, just the amount of minerals that are in Africa, the rest of the world is looking at this like it's their piggy bank. And I'm sorry, I find that disturbing. I don't know what you think about it, but give me your opinion.
So you have the opinion that all the Western, what's it called, should be done away with. All the bases, military bases in Africa should be done away with.
Yes, and I want to know. I propose that question because I want to know if you think that Africans are able to secure their own fruitions, their own. Do you think we need America?
It is on the reverse. It is actually America or the West that needs Africa.
Right.
Majority of
That's what I say. Yes.
Yeah, majority of this Western world are in need of Africa, and instead of coming to the dining table to do the business in the neat and proper way, which is going to be based on transaction of law and demand kind of transaction basis, but they are going the other way, the ulterior way, in which a challenge create a challenge, get access to their raw materials in Africa for free or for nothing. And the other side,
Right.
create a challenge and fund both parties to fight each other to their death. That is
And
even
and that and that's a great point because you see, America's been around forever. When Kamala Harris comes there, guess what she does? She gives a lecture to Africa. And when China comes to Africa, guess what? You get a hospital. I mean, it's insane. I mean, America has been holding the purse strings on Africa, and now we're seeing some disturbances. You know what I'm saying?
very true. Can you repeat what you just said now? I didn't get your last sentence.
Oh, um, as far as the purse strings are concerned, I think colonialization has been, you can't get around it in a sense. You can't, in other words, you could get sanctioned. This is why I wrote those comments earlier. You can be sanctioned if Africa doesn't go along with the central bankers. You can be sanctioned. And so your government is controlled by the US dollar. And it gets very dicey when I say this. Now, you should understand this. I think you already do because you are a former banker. They use what they call fractional banking, and they create money out of nothing. It's called fiat currency. And you can buy a military with this. You can buy every congressman with this. You can buy every single judge in the United States with this. And then guess what? You get to make the policies from that. You get to make all the decisions from that. And if you're global and you're calling out for what they call a new world order, well,
And
there it is.
you are quite right. And let me also say this: if Africans are being sanctioned by the West for not following or doing their bid, then we have to accept
Yes.
this question. Who is sanctioning the West for
Yes.
supplying ammunition to
Nobody.
both parties?
Nobody. Nobody. Absolutely nothing. That's what I'm saying. They got
And
you.
I'm listening.
No, go ahead.
It,
Go ahead.
it becomes more problematic because you have a case now that is in need of huge sanction because you are coming to a continent that is relatively peaceful. You are coming there to market your weapons of mass destruction by what? Introducing conflict here and there so that you can gain cheap access to the resources
And
in
call
Africa.
yourself peacekeepers and call yourself peacekeepers at the same time.
So how
It's
can you be the judge? How can you be the judge and
The
I
peacekeeper
don't
and the
understand.
destabilizer.
You are the thief and the police at the same time. You are the cat and the rat at the same time. So it's
Uh,
not possible.
and just like the professor said, that the West have made themselves that they see themselves that they are the ones that should always give instructions to African leaders, and African leaders to now see themselves that they just have to obey those instructions just as to
And
avoid
point
the
of correction, we do not have African leaders. What
African
we have is
rulers.
African rulers because if we actually have African leaders like in the likes of Thomas Sankara, what's it called? This former president of Ghana, and the likes of them, they will never trade their people for peanuts. But what we have is a case of we are having aliens in sheep's clothing. Let me just put
When
it
they
that
give
way.
them flats
You
in
can imagine
Dubai and all these places.
as little as a flat in other people's country. Whereas they can own all these things. They even own more of those things in their own country. If only they can do what? They can do the right thing, make the place
right,
peaceful for
right.
everyone to
I think
coexist and do their business.
I think what you're
Yeah.
saying that there's actually a battle for your country. There's these people who, on the other hand, what some people call, you know, the Chinese people or Russian people or anybody else that wants to have the Belt and Road Initiative come through, and Africa's a very vital part of that. Now, if America is a democracy and has free markets, I think that they're going to be worried about the competition. So if that's the colonial aspect where they've had so much control, and we do know that England gave up Australia, right? England gave up kind of Canada, kind of, right? But the Queen's face is still on their bills, right? So we Rome left to where did Rome leave to? Rome left to England, right? Is that not true? I mean, think about it. I mean,
But
where did the
the
go
funniest
ahead?
stuff is the funniest thing is that the people we are even talking about here, when you mention England is just a small island that is in control of almost all parts of the world. Larger chunk of the world is being controlled by them. So
A monarchy, right? A
how
monarchy.
did they come about it? They were just
How?
producing
Yeah. How
weapons of
did they?
mass destruction. Huh?
Sitting around in their castles.
They were just producing weapons of war and the likes, and they were going from one country to the other, from one continent to the other, occupying spaces and putting people in.
It's for us to enlighten ourselves as African. Like Jim now is an African. What is his name again?
Jim Chukwudi
The one
Nwobodo.
so thank God he's
Chakudi.
having
Chakudi, right?
She's not Djibouti.
I'm getting it.
So
I'm gonna
I
get it.
think it's high time Because if we just keep on repeating this, we're going somewhere. Let me not say we're not going anywhere. Just like the professor said, that we are going nowhere if we continue this way. So it's for us to look for like-minded Africans that are ready to really stop this. And I think we should start grooming our youth. We should start grooming people, and we should start this culture of integrity. It still boils, as in goes back to the mindset. That was why I was talking about the mindset. So it's all about what you have in you. That's what you're going to demonstrate. So if you don't see beyond yourself and you don't see beyond this world, you're just going to be all about you, for the flats, for
Right.
everything, for the mirror. You'll be selling your people, selling your conscience.
Yep.
So
Yeah, because
they
if
are
the
the
youth
ones.
if the youth are be yeah, if the youth aren't being if the youth aren't developing, we know our society is decaying.
So true. If the youth are not developing,
Yes.
the society is decaying. And that is one of the reasons why majority of the African youth are hazarding their lives in the Mediterranean Sea, just thinking of how to get a greener pasture. But little do they know that the greener pasture that they have just left, or the greener pasture they are looking for, is where they have just left.
Some youths were at the foundation today,
Yeah.
so we were educating them, and these are graduates. So when we started opening their eyes to the possibilities that lie here in Africa, how they can go about some things, and in fact they were just wow, that you mean this is, do you understand? So I think it's all about the right education. We should just
Yeah.
intensify our efforts in making sure that we reach larger parts of this youth and try
Yeah,
to groom them.
but on a larger part of it, you're actually trying to keep them home, is what you're saying. You don't want them leaving at all, right?
Don't want them
See,
what?
you don't want them leaving. See, I have no problem with any youth leaving, but where I have the
Okay.
problem is any youth totally evacuating themselves out of the continent into another man's land, because
No, I'm not
if
saying
they
that.
are on a visit and they return back with gained
What they've learned,
experiences and the
and
likes,
they
is
start.
better. But in a case whereby somebody is burning the bridge of Mother Africa for another colonization somewhere around the world, whether it is England, whether
Or
it is
Canada or
Canada,
USA.
whether it's US and the likes. And you can see how hypocritical these people are, to the extent that even England itself, herself, is not part of Europe.
Right. They had the Brexit and that failed, and they wouldn't even let the people speak their own truth.
So they left they left Europe where they actually belong. They left Europe where they actually belong, and they are busy camouflaging the Commonwealth story, where they are coming to Africa to dominate African
To
countries,
dictate.
so that they can continue to extract the raw materials and the likes.
Commonwealth. What
Commonwealth.
is
What
common?
is common about
Somebody
the wealth?
from it is Commonwealth thing. The person that established
Commonwealth.
it is. Let us
Yeah,
just
Commonwealth.
let us just dissolve it.
Yeah,
You were
Commonwealth
saying,
comes from Commonwealth comes from the Old English versions of what they call a admiral law, the law of the sea. So Commonwealth had things like, like you had a birth certificate. So like when you brought a ship in, they called it a berth, where you brought the ship in, right? And you'd had to have a certificate, right? So Commonwealth comes from this background from England. It's very known. Everybody does know this in history. I mean, I've studied it. I mean, but Commonwealth has a different meaning than democracy. It's not a republic.
hmm. So it's just so pathetic that even Africa, that is supposed to be rising up to do something about this, to liberate themselves from the shackles, is not playing the game well, is not paying attention to the challenges. Why? Because the right Africans are not in power. Majority of the
It's a,
brightest set of Africans are not anywhere near the power structure, just
not even
because
close. Yep.
the so-called Commonwealth have strategically manipulated the political scene, and they have given us what we call in Africa, Nigeria, Agberos.
Well, they've left. They left their paganistic. They left their rules. They left their rules when they pulled out a little bit, right? But just look at Australia. Just look at Canada. These are two countries that are ruled by England still. Still look at this, folks. You got to look at this. This is yeah. They said that Rome spread across the whole world, like it was the biggest empire of the world. Well, okay, fine, okay, but if you're going to relinquish your power and you centralize it, and then now we know that there's a monarchy and queens and kings and everything over there, in England. Well, what do they have in common? They have a thing called Scottish Freemasonry. These people believe in a colonial type of Freemasonry that is designed that allows for us to be subservient to them. In other words, we give up our rights, we give up our that's Commonwealth, that's all from the English. And I don't know how to put it together and really tie it together, but Rome didn't ever leave. Rome never left. It's here now. It's still here. And if you think America is doing something righteous around the world by having military bases everywhere, I just look at that as an extension to colonialization. I don't think there's any possible way we could look at it in any other way.
You are absolutely correct, because all that having their military presence across their own boundary is just another system of colonization, because with that's already a kind of intrusion, and that is part of what has led to the present war that is going on between what's the name of this country? Russia and Ukraine. If America has stayed where their territory ended,
Tó wá ti jókòó sílé wọn.
if America has stayed in their homeland, instead of looking for how to become a next door neighbor to Putin, there wouldn't have been the war going on in Ukraine now.
And that gets back to supply and demand in world economies, right there. That gets back to supply and demand. And guess who gets to control supply and demand? He who can sanction a country. In other words, limiting them from being fruitful in life. That's just amazing. It's mind-blowing to me that we sit here and we actually take this. We're 8 billion strong, and I don't think we need this anymore. This has got to go. Joe Biden can barely speak sentences, folks, and he's the leader of the free world.
The question now is the world really free? Because when you say, one thing I've understood the West to practice is that when the West says good morning, just know that it is midnight. When the West says good night, just know that it is end of the year. And when the West says sit down here, start running for your life. So I think the concept of the West should be well understood by Africans, so that whenever the West is coming to say, I love you, they should just pack their bags and start running because
That's the
they are
reorientation.
they are actually not saying it.
That's the re-education we're talking about now. So that we just don't keep rotating around the same circle. That's what we're talking about. That we should start educating our youths, those around us, those within our sphere of influences, those that have like minds. So one of it is this foundation that we're doing, taking those on the street and helping them. Some other persons, those that have gone to school, like the youths that came today, they were graduates from medical fields and all the like. So we're telling them there are so many ways in which our youth can be useful to us in this continent. So many ways. So when we started talking to them, they were like, "You mean it? You mean it?" So it's all about getting them, those that are interested in education, those that are interested in crafts, those that are interested in whatever. Just make them to know how they are going to contribute their own quota to Africa's GDP, Nigeria's GDP. So by the time we're able to do this, tell them why they are here. They will reason and say, "Yes, I can do it," and we can move forward from here.
Right,
So
right.
with this,
You could control it from the bottom up. You don't have to let them give you the power. You just control it from the bottom up. You exactly said. You control the knowledge. You control all the facilities. You don't need this anymore. Yeah, you don't need it. I mean, simple as
Is
that. I
is
mean,
is actually not producing result, and anything that is not producing result, it is only a madman
we
that will
discarded.
continue to apply principles
right.
that do not work.
Yes, because it's not working for Africa at all. So
Yes.
we can't. How I just pray. So maybe by the time we keep reiterating and saying it over and over again, it's going to be like a song, and the youths, the African youths, will wake up to it because they've already been deceived that they've been made to know that we are nothing. You can't make it here in Africa. They glorify the
They've been
West
made to
that
believe.
yes, they've been made to believe. They glorify the West so much that for you to actually make it, you have to go out of the shores of Africa. You have to
Okay,
go to the West.
what when you
That's
say glorify the West, when you say glorify the West, let's just be careful because I think a little bit of this has to do with more of a global thing with the internet. And I think kids are picking up on this internet. And they are, yes, kind of looking back at, hey, the West started this or something. Okay, I can agree with that. But now these kids are introduced to the internet and look, it's changing kids. And you know what? You as a parent, you can't always grasp on top of your kid. You can't always make him think, her think anything. It's kind of what they do in their life. They're on the internet. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
True, true. Let's read through some comments. Madam Claudia says, when George Bush Jr. was president of the United States of America, he said, Africa is the place for development into the 21st century.
Yep, the piggy bank. Once again, the piggy bank. That Africa was the piggy bank. It's always been the piggy bank of America. They know it. They want silicon. They want uranium. They want platinum. They want copper. They want coal. I mean, yeah, we got a lot of coal over here in America, but guess what? We don't have. We don't got a lot of copper. We
Wow.
don't. And you need copper for everything. And Africa is the largest country in the world that has the biggest copper mines in the world. So, I mean, you could look at all the heavy metals. Africa has pretty much all of them. Like, there's not many places in the world that you could actually come to and say, hey, look, if I'm a big conglomerate company, if I'm a world big company. Where do I need to set up shop? Well, I'm going to set up shop here in Africa. You know why? Because labor's cheap, right? Nobody's got it's underdeveloped. And how are you going to take advantage of them? Well, you're going to bring them and guess what? All the American companies that will come in there and Chinese companies. By the way, China is a lesser evil than America in my book. Just a little less. But they're all going to bring in the same thing. They're not going to let you dictate what you want.
So true. So true. I think you just nailed it. You just nailed the discussion. Africa needs to dictate what they want.
Yes,
Africa should not allow.
that's when we have the people that know their onion. That's when, if we are breeding a set of youths, the new generation now that will really know what it takes to rule, that will really know what it takes to be at the top, to be at the realm of affairs and to control things. So we wouldn't wait until we get there. We start building our future from now, because this set of people that are there, they are not going to be there forever. So we already know that they have been bought over. So it's like a cliche. It's been said over and over again. So you can't even do anything to them. So let's start now. Let's build a new Africa together. Let's synergize. Let's collaborate. Let's do all that can be done. Let our youth know the core values of integrity, honesty, and
Hard work.
yes, hard work and the communal lifestyle.
And that's the thing. We've lost that culture. Even in America, we've lost that hard work attitude where we just don't understand what built a country, or a state, or wherever you're from. Doesn't matter. It matters that your forefathers and your created something that you got to live on top of. They built a foundation. Are we going to continue doing this? That's the key. Are we going to let them take over us? No, we're done.
Wow. So true. I think we've nailed the discussion tonight in the sense that it's so precise and direct. Africans and Africa need to wake up and do the right thing, because just like Madam Emmanuel Claudia says, resources, resources, resources. Africa has got the resources. America needs the resources. China needs the resources. Russians need the resources. In short, the West need the resources. But the question is, how are they going to get or gain access to these resources? It would have been better if all the access to our resources in Africa is on plain level ground, in which the forces of demand and supply are the ones that are allowed to fix the prices, not the fictitious art of war, in which you continuously mess up one part of the world, mess up the continent of Africa, so that they can be underneath you. So with it being said, I want us to conclude on this topic by saying this: we are not just here to just tell stories about what is happening, but we are looking at what has happened or what is happening, and we try to look at how we can be of help to our own generation and the generation coming. Sorry, don't mind my little boy. He's the one making that level of distraction. Victor, please stop. So, with that being said, that is why we on this channel we have decided to set up a foundation to assist the African youth in being trained in numerous crafts and skills, and afterward provide them with resources to make them stand alone in owning and running the business that relates to the skill or the craft they've learned. So if you want to find out more about, please, Victor, please, if you want to find out more about what we have been doing, kindly take your time, go through our website and check out our work. If you feel convinced with what we do there, then you can look at how you can support us to be able to reach more youth. We have a, what's it called? We have a school now that we have about 5 youths that would like to sponsor in free education and the likes. While we have the rest for craftsmanship training and the likes. So if you feel convinced, you can see more of our video on This stuff is really disturbing. Sorry, please. You can check out more of our work on what's this stuff? This so sorry. I have been throughout this program because this boy is not sleeping. I have been highly distracted. I don't know why. And this is midnight here in Nigeria. But he has continued. I don't know why he's not sleeping. He has continued to just disturb this way. So Jim, please can you just summarize
So that
because this boy is distracting me seriously.
Oh, I'm going to summarize. Victor is victory, and he will be the CEO of Centris
Yeah.
Foundation someday. And what he's doing is he's giving out his calling right now. When he makes those smacks, he's like, listen to me. I want to be heard. I am totally here. He's ready to go. Look, see, he's ready to go. Look at him. He's ready to go.
somebody I said he's having
You
late
are
night fun.
ready to go, Victor. You see, I'm not going to put any blame on somebody, but listen, folks, when you get to the like Joe K was saying, Joe K really hit it off. Really, I wanted to jump in, but I couldn't even interrupt because she was speaking so eloquently. She nailed it. Look, we if and I am not of we because I'm not there with you, but we it's amazing to see the efforts that come from the grassroots and that the people that try the hardest are the ones that you want to be attracted to. You want to be around them. They're the people that make life better. And that's why I so thank you to be honored to be able to speak on your show. And you guys do the best job. You're truly pioneers. You're truly pioneers. You understand? I mean this to at the root level. You guys do the best job that you can, and you work with what you have, and you've done the best you can do. That's the beauty. Hey, newbie.
Hello,
Hola, I
no
came at the
baby.
perfect time because I was kept on checking when you guys are gonna, when you guys are coming on. And today I've had a busy Zoom day. Like today has been the busiest Sunday ever. I have six Zooms, five Zooms, and then
Whoa.
I had
Wow.
one. Yeah, and I had one personal, physical appointment to go to. I could give thanks to God that the first day, the Sunday, is my busy day. But what's so funny is I was checking to see because you're part of my meeting. You're one of my six. You know what I'm saying? So you're the number four. You guys are number four. So when I checked, I said, "Oh my goodness, what time is it?" And then I see you guys. I checked the Zoom, and I guess Victor's interrupting. And I heard brother
Really
say, "Oh
interrupting.
yeah, he's interrupting." I said, "Oh, that's my cue. That's my cue because I'm always interrupting." Because I do. What
So
happened was
true. So true.
it's true. Well, listen, what was
Jim said
happening was
so
I
true.
just got off of a text with another committee member and another board, and I was telling her I apologize for interrupting in between our board meetings. But the problem is, I was born, I was raised, I'm Haitian American, raised in Brooklyn, right? No, raised from Brooklyn,
Oh
raised
God.
in
Oh God.
Queens. So
Oh
what happened
man.
is,
Come on,
them Brooklyn
man.
girls, listen, them Brooklyn girls hated me. They could not stand my voice. So naturally, being an Haitian from Brooklyn, raised in Queens, I naturally just got louder.
And you still don't have any claim to any Puerto Rican blood, right?
I'm Haitian. No, I'm straight Haitian. And the thing is, I've been working on it since I was in third grade. So everybody, thank you for being patient for me. All my future board members, people who tolerate me during I call it verbal double dutch. I just kind of jump in there. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I love y'all. Look at Victor's
Okay.
laughing, right?
Hey,
Victor, he's
hey,
like, yeah, I
did
know.
did
Okay,
I
Victor,
know.
did you
what will you say what will you say, Victor?
wait
Tell
a
them
second. Did oh newbie me? Did you see the beginning speech that the video that Deo and Joe K put out from the who was the gentleman again? Dale?
Professor
Did
Professor
you?
Lumumba.
Lumumba.
Yeah, did
Professor
you get to
Lumumba.
see it? Yeah, because
Oh,
it
I
was
love
so.
Professor Lumumba. Lumumba
Oh
is
my gosh!
my, he's my
It was.
father. Lumumba is my verbal father because he cuts it down. You know, I love his Africa at the dinner table, but it's
Yeah.
Africa being cut up. I think he has a new one now, right? A new
Yes.
visual. Yeah, I love Lumumba. That is my oratory father. You know, if I could just be that,
Well,
choo, 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 and such grace. Oh my gosh. Yes. So yes. Anything he says.
Would you be able to just because you're of American descent,
I'm
would you
Haitian.
be
I'm of
yeah, what
Haitian
I'm gonna
American
ask, I'm
descent.
gonna ask you a question. I'm gonna
I'm
ask
of
you a question.
Haitian. And don't say
I'm gonna
Haitian.
ask
We're
you.
changing it, guys.
I'm gonna
Haitian.
ask you a question. I'm gonna ask you a question.
Oui.
Is there
Uh-huh.
anybody that you find in America and who sets policies that's equal to that gentleman that we were just speaking of in America?
AOC was the closest. I would say AOC. I hope she keeps her voice like that. Again, I think it's
Now that's
Lumumba has
interesting.
had
You,
I think
why
Lumumba had a
AOC?
lot of experience and he's older because she's not coming from the political world. I hope she kind of stays like that. I hope she kind of learns, but she may be bowing out of the politics. But I think he's a professor. He's seen it
Yes.
all.
Yes.
He's practiced it. He knows what he's doing. He has experience. I think no, because
Yeah,
all
but
these old
AOC
guys are
doesn't
all
have it. But
fools.
I
I'm just
mean,
saying, no, I have not seen
AOC
anybody
doesn't
like
have
that.
any of those qualifications,
Then
though.
I'm saying
AOC
there ain't
does.
nobody I've seen like that in America. The only closest person I think I've seen to the clearness of Lumumba is when I read His Majesty's writings or hear it or see His Majesty on back in those days when he was dealing with Western media. The only person who I've ever seen cut like that is His Majesty. Here, the counterparts, no. I mean, even though,
Uh,
Obama tried his best, but whatever. He was just kind of like he did what he
what
could.
did he do something wrong though?
No, I think Obama did as much as he could, but that's because he's kind of African European. He's good at oratory and getting things, but he's not like clear cut. He's more like, okay, let's get around this. And, he has a good oratory, but I'm sure that's because he's African in a way. It's probably a
Yeah, but
epigenetic memory and how
yeah,
he's
but under
trained
his
in his.
administration, he expanded naval bases and military bases in
Yeah, I
Africa. I
don't I
mean,
don't listen, they're all politics to me. I don't care about those guys. Those are all of them. I don't have no allegiance. I do not have no dog in the fight. The only yes, that's right, Victor. The only government I care about is Yeshua HaMashiach's kingdom and making that happen here. Everybody else is just a tool. And sometimes these politicians are just the tool, like, that when you clean out your latrine, that tool that you use to clean out the poo-poo from your garbage, and then what you do, you pull it out, you pump it out, you get the crap out of there, and then you throw that item away or you disinfect it. All these politicians to me are that.
right.
They're like a toilet stopper cleaner.
Yeah. All
But sometimes they make
colonial,
it
all
worse.
colonial. Yeah.
Yes. That's why it's called colonial. There's a colon in there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. A
All that
very good
crap.
point. That's yeah, exactly a great point. Colon
Hmm.
colonial.
Yes. It's all there. Oh, I'm not going to say it. We have children over here. It's all there.
Okay, I think Victor is trying to greet you people. Oh yeah,
Hi,
Victor,
Victor. Oh, wait.
greet everybody.
Bye.
His best greeting is bye. Yeah, talk.
Mwah, 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 mwah,
What will you say?
mwah. Give me a kiss. Give me a kiss. Mwah,
Yeah,
mwah, mwah.
Bye.
yeah.
Give me a kiss.
Oh,
Mwah.
what will you say? Say, "Mwah."
Give me a kiss.
Yeah.
Mwah, mwah. I love you.
He's laughing at you. So apologies
Look
for
at the
today because
CEO, man. That's the
this guy,
CEO
this
right there. There's the
This young
CEO.
man can
Good
be.
night, handsome. I'm sorry, Tati Nunu. You're just so cute. Yes, you are, Victor.
Yeah, he's a big guy too.
Show yourself. Here I am, Victor.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah, see,
He's like,
see.
what is this bubble talking?
Yeah, look at Madam Claudia says he's
Hi,
so
Tati.
handsome.
He is super
He's so
handsome.
handsome.
He looks
Yeah,
like
look
his
at
mom and his daddy put together.
Yep.
yeah, look at. What will you say?
What a
Hello.
nice smile. Victor, tell us, what do we do for the future for this youth? Tell us, what do we do?
Okay, he's
Where do
going to
we go,
tell.
Mr. Victor? According to Mr.
Okay,
Victor.
he's saying that we should build our African ship that will be going to Mars.
Oh, speaking of the African ship going to Mars, Dr. Victor, did anybody hear about this new King Yahweh? I gotta get to King Yahweh, this Hollywood produced guru.
Go
I
on.
don't know if he's going for a role. His name is King Yahweh, and it is a joke. I'm as a Rastafari, I am offended. They're trying to recast His Majesty, and
Oh
in some
man.
ridiculous King Yahweh, guys. Please don't let no foolishness. It's foolishness. It's Hollywood foolishness right now. And I'm so glad people like Truth, Camera, Action, TSA, and Teo Ministries, guys. It's ridiculous right now. They're really going after Africa and African Americans, and they really want to just like get our mind in some ridiculousness. So let's talk about the destabilization, trying to destabilize Africa from all kind of ways. But everybody, I'm just
Right.
warning everyone. There's this Hollywood fake Messiah or King Yahweh. How dare he has the name King? Oh my gosh! And everybody in Hollywood is like, thank
Can
you,
I
yeah. Really it's a bad version. It's like a Michael Jackson version, a bad Michael Jackson impersonator of His Majesty. And I purposely think they're trying to just make African culture and our lineage a joke. So look
real
out for
quick?
that.
Just
And
an
that,
interest. Go ahead. Go ahead.
and that was just what we were still talking about. That some most of the time you have Africans being sanctioned by some set of people, whereas when the set of people that are sanctioning Africa actually goes out to commit
That
greater offense, no
that's what I
one
was saying.
is sanctioning them because
Nobody.
I
You could go to NATO, like you said, NATO. You could reverse the situation. And are other countries supposed to sanction America? Oh, but no, nobody sanctions America. I mean, it's ridiculous.
so I just hope that
It's
the
like a
rest.
little child. I've always thought, and this is just maybe again food for thought, even as a college person, being first generation Haitian. When I was a college student, I said, wait a minute, this US is such a baby country. It's such a infant compared to all these countries, and everyone is bowing down to this. Is in the 1990s, people. This was way before internet, and everybody's bowing down to this spoiled English bratty baby
Yep.
who wasn't raised right,
Yep.
who was put in
Who
boarding
speaks
school,
so
actually
eloquent?
much
Yeah,
like
they
not boarding school,
and
sent away to juvenile hall way across the land.
and they got Oxford College. They always go back to Oxford College, their dictionaries, their
And
terminology
they
and
still came
language.
up with that language. Oxford
I know
Dictionary was
it's ridiculous.
created.
It's absolutely ridiculous because it's almost like they gave themselves legitimate right to rule when they
No
do that.
wonder their kids are out of control. When I say they, my children, even though we're in the society, I'd be like, "Mais je suis haïtien. I'm not American. Please don't get it confused. Maybe the curse is that's why the children, the infants, and the children are running them ragged here in America. They have
And
no rights to their children or disciplining because this country is a very mal élevé, bad child of England.
Machiavelli, right?
Yeah, Maldives means misbehaved. At least the New
Yeah,
Zealanders and the Australians know they got mental issues. At least they know they're messed up. We can work with them, right? New Zealand and Australians, they know their whole system is jacked up. That's why they seem a little bit. It's like a person who's mental. They know they're sick. They take their medication, as opposed to someone who's a sociopath and think everybody else is wrong.
correct. Very, very. That is exactly. You nailed it. The sociopaths. That is exactly what it is. These people are sociopaths, and you guess what? They're non-elected. They're bourgeois. They're bureaucracy. They're red tape. They're regulators. They're sanctioners. They're everything that's not elected.
I think
They're
that
the worst bullies on the bully. That's like the worst kid in school, like
I think those are
ever.
the kind of I think those are the kind of people that they usually refer to this in this statement, that if you know that you don't know, you are a wise man because you are ready to know. But if you do not know that you do not know, then you are
Right.
more of a problem
Right.
than the solution you are looking for. So it is better that a human being knows that he doesn't know, and such can easily get help. But when you do not know that you do not know that you do not know, oh, that's some layers of confusion in the mind of such person. And those are the people that create the greatest problem for the world. So to all of you that are creating problem for Africa, I have this to tell you. Wherever you are,
Well, hold on. Danielle, before you say it,
Yeah.
you just, I know I'm double dutching and jumping in. You just blew my mind because there's a Haitian saying that we say, and I know it comes from home, from Nigeria. There's a Haitian saying to say, Ukon George. That means, you know, George. And all of
eh,
us say, no,
Yes.
who's George? Who's George? Like when you're little, you don't know what that means, but it means you know what you're doing. You know that person. You know you're about to get in trouble. You know that's wrong. You know I'm gonna kick your butt. And so we grew up as Haitians, and our parents, when we were about to do something bad, they look at you and say, "Oh, God, George," and then we'd be like,
whoa.
"Who's George? Do you know who George is? Do you know?" Until we realize you're George. You better get your butt somewhere. I'm like, is it George Washington? Oh, God, George. Go ahead, bro.
Re-
And
real
you know
quick,
how it
real quick.
sounded.
Madam Claudia's statement here is really profound. It's all
Hmm.
about to divide and conquer. And the
Okay.
way she writes it, it's all about, right? Now, she could say it in one format where it's all about like knowing, or it's all about in the future happening. And Madam Claudia, do you think in the future it's going to happen? Like the conquering is going to happen where we get the light energy back. I want to hear from you on that one because that
Oh,
was an
and I want to hear
interesting
what Deo
phrasing.
was saying about knowing. Go ahead, bro. I didn't want to, but yes, Mama. Yes, Mama. Yes, Mama Claudia. Go ahead, Deo. I interrupted. Tell us what we know that we don't know, that they don't know, that they're messed up, and don't they know it's over for them? Okay.
And by the way, in America,
I
we
think, I think
subsidize.
Nubimi should be on a radio show.
As
As
in,
in,
That's my
it's going to be
background,
fun
by the
filled.
way. That's what I went to
Huh?
college for. That's what I went to
Whoa,
college for,
whoa,
media arts, and I do used to do shows in radio. Thank you.
whoa. Because with you, on the station, on the radio show program, I'm telling you, nobody is going to sleep on the wheels because they'll just be laughing and laughing away their sorrow. Okay, Madam Claudia says, big up to all Adian family who led the way for freedom in the Caribbean and the Western world. And after reading this, I want to say this double twale for Madam Claudia. That's how we greet people here in Lagos.
Swale.
I'll say twale baba. So the meaning of that is just respect. Twale
Yes.
means respect here
Alien.
in Nigeria. Now, the funniest stuff is that so many people have paid the price for freedom. So many people have fought for freedom, but what Africa got at the end of the day is actually not freedom, but fracas. Frica, fraca, frocus. We were only deceived into a paper certificate of independence, whereas the real independence is yet to be gotten. And it is until the time that our mental structure begin to reset to actualize our dream of independence, we
Right.
might just still be playing around with all these people that are destabilizing Africa for their own
And,
benefit. And they
and
continue
they
to
call
tell
it
us, and they continue to tell us that
and they call it jurisdiction. Where do they get this? Like, where do they get the claim jurisdiction? Like, where do they get to claim this stuff? Where do they get this ability to
Maritime, they're
say,
maritime make
I
believe
know,
Dungeons and Dragons. Big up,
yeah,
Miss
where,
Claudia. Thank you. Haitians, Haitians. We picking it up. Yes, I. Thank you, sister.
yeah,
But we're from
but
Nigeria. We Nigerian. Okay. Or
I
whatever
mean,
it was
these
called before
people,
they came
they
in
make
and
they
interrupted
take
us.
land ownership as something that they own. Like, they get to come into a place and invade it and then own it and then create jurisdictions. I mean, and then when
Isn't
you
that
do
that kid that comes to your house and does that with your toys? I mean, that is such the
yeah, the
American
Mormons.
way. That guys, I don't know if
Yeah.
you guys know this. Yo, Deo, and yo, there are children that are just like that. They will come to your house and adults, but those are the children that don't come to my house. I'd be like, hey, to my kids, your friend's not coming here no more. You're not coming here no more because that'd be that same one. They want to dictate the toys, the time, what you play. And then when you go to their house, my goodness, it's an illness, Deo, etc. Joke. Uh, 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 Jim, you know what I'm talking about? Yes, we
I
are no.
absolutely do. I know 100% exactly what you're talking about. I know exactly. I know it for a fact. Raised 5 children. I know what you're talking about. These people are demented.
hmm, hmm. Okay, so with that being said, I want us to give our roundup statement. Can we have a conclusion to round up for tonight? Because it's like I've overstretched myself today, and my eyes are
I,
beginning to shut down. Battery
I think
low.
I'm gonna let since I've been interrupting. I'm gonna let Jim have the last word because he understands the
I'm
situation.
going to leave
I
real quick.
think
I'll leave real quick. Yeah,
my
I'll just get
last.
out of here real quick. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I
Sorry.
think you should. Okay, my last comment is that at the end of the day, when a bad behaved child comes to your house or in your area or in your surroundings or in your store, person, when I say child, I'm really, regardless, I'm talking, I don't care if they're an adult, they're 100 years old or whatever. It is our fault if we do not correct them or kick them out. And tell our own children that's not happening. You're not doing this no more. And I think that's where the analogy is the world is growing up. We see this, it is unacceptable, and we cannot let somebody bring their dysfunctions into our society,
Yeah.
and we have to call it out, call them out, and tell them go deal with that at home. Do I look like Heather's mom? No, I'm
Yeah, but
Micah's mom.
let's admit the fact that we're losing the war on our children.
Yeah,
The technocrats are in charge. We have to be very monitoring. We have to monitor our children. We have to monitor them. We have to actually be parents and realize that what our kids are watching, how it influences them, everything right now.
because that's
And
all
this is
Disney, like you said. All of that was from Disney, this making the parents from all the Disney shows, guys, from the 1980s and up, especially 1990s and 2000. And they still do. They no respect. The kids running the whole thing. The parents are like
yeah,
look like
yeah.
the
Respect
Joker, the
was
side.
lost. Yeah, respect
Exactly.
was lost in 1985. I would think there was I think the one of the most. I'm sorry, Deo. We should just wrap this up. I'm so sorry, Deo. But just real quickly, uh, around 1985, maybe a little bit before. In fact, it was probably 1978. There was a spanking bill here in America where all of a sudden, if you're a parent that spanked your child, you were considered wow, like wow, you were like bad. You were a bad person, right? Okay, I don't, you know, I don't believe in spanking children. That's, okay. But the bottom line was that was instituted in America. I grew up with my high school, I mean my elementary principal spanked me for something I did
But
wrong in
they don't
school.
even correct the children, Dale. And there's been a long time that the
Correct.
children haven't even been correct. It's been a gradual defraying. And then they want everybody in the world to implement or to do this dysfunctional behavior. It's not happening. So that's the thing. The thing is, we need to look at America and Australia and New Zealand as a case studies and make sure we do not implement that in the future in any of our societies.
Okay. So, Jim, over to you. Your concluding.
I would want to say thank you to the cetrosfoundation.org, and I would hope that people that you see this in the future, or if you're watching it live right now, that you would get a thumbs up, a like, and a subscribe. This is one of the grass movements that has revolved around communities in America and the world that have united us as brother sister countries. We do not need to have a feudal democratic some type of government, meaning governing the mind, type of mentality anymore. We need grassroots movements like the Citrus Foundation. And I want to give big respects to Dr. Ojo. He's kept me very, very humbled. I respect him so much, um, that from the last conversation we had last week, there was so much I learned from him. And that once again, having him as a spokesperson for this Citrus Foundation organization is such a wonderful thing. Knowing that there's a true behind the grassroots movement that Deo Joke has started, that there's a founder who sees the light in that foundation. And it makes me feel so proudly welcomed to be honored to be on the show. And I want to say that in conclusion, thank you.
Okay. Thank you so very much, Jim. And just let me add this that this coming Thursday, there
Good
is going
night,
to be
Victor. We love you too. Bonne nuit,
this
mon fils.
this coming Thursday, we're going to have we are going to have a meeting for the what's it called, our in-house meeting for the committee. Please, this is an heads up. Please, let's have it at the back of our jotter or what have you. I'm going to reach out to everyone on WhatsApp. Jim is not on WhatsApp, and I wonder what he's doing without having a WhatsApp. So I'm going to communicate us all
He
on
knows
WhatsApp.
better. That's why.
Yeah, because yeah,
He's
you can
like,
you can text me. You can text me anytime you want. You already do it.
Okay, okay, I'll do that. I'll text you. So
baby.
we really appreciate every one of you. Please, if you know anyone that is destabilizing Africa, tell them to desist or they are going to jail on issue. They are going to eat their pounded yam in yam.
Mm-hmm. Who can judge? Who can judge?
Oh,
God got something. Who can judge?
do,
God got something
do,
for you.
do you know how that statement sound?
Very
In
African, right? It's spelled
yes, because
Oukon.
in Yoruba, there is something that they call jaw. Is it sound like female jaw? You understand?
Yes.
Female jaw.
Joel.
Female jaw
Joel
means
is your
please
mouth
leave
in
me
French.
alone.
Exactly.
Eh?
Now in Creole is Feme Cholu. That means close your mouth. Feme Cholu. You know what I'm saying? So Oukon judge.
Damn, I'm
It's a
learning a
little bit
lot
we're
right
both.
now.
Yeah, because it's
Wow.
that family. 70%
My
of the Haitian population is from that region.
See,
I
I'm
sent
very,
you a
very
video.
Nubi me. I'm very, very convinced that Chukudi understands what you are saying.
Uh, I'm telling you 100%.
Yes, Chikuti understands me.
I mean, is that like the English, because newbie me said, Jim's kind of like a coach. Like, is Chakudi like African for coach?
So, but from all of us at the Citrus Foundation, I want to say thank you so very much. We appreciate you. Keep it locked with us next week, Sunday, same time. We'll be here with another interesting topic and solutions that we're providing for the world, the youth in Africa. So, with that being said, I'm
One
signing
last
out.
thing.
We
One
love
last thing.
you.
One
We
last.
love
One
you,
last
Love
Central
thing.
you.
Youth.
One last
Love
thing.
you.
Update? Can you put a few more videos on the Rumble channel, please? We're starting to get some likes. We've got 143 likes now.
Whoa.
I use the Cetra Spotlight, and I go into
Yay!
channels, and we're starting to get a lot more likes all of a sudden. I just noticed it, and if you could update a few more, new videos, that would keep the people happy, shopping, as far as good
And if
foods.
I make
Anyway,
any videos, family, I'll send it to y'all on WhatsApp. If I get inspired to make some videos, I'll send it on
Please
WhatsApp.
do.
Feel free to use it. Especially the spicy ones. Jim, why don't you get my number? Why don't you guys text Jim my phone number? Because I don't think we have
I
each
already
other's
have your
number.
number. I already have
Well,
your
then
number. We
text me.
spoke.
Text me so we
All
can
right.
do some
It's under
Rumble-esque
Emmanuel, right?
shows.
It was
Yes, it's under
Emmanuel,
Manuel.
right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so text us so we can record some Rumble-esque shows and have some
Hmm.
visuals so that we don't get the Setros Foundation in trouble.
And we don't
That'll
have
be
to
the
worry about
Jim
being
and Emmanuel
and you don't
show.
have to, and you don't have to be worried about being censored. Can you imagine no
Exactly.
strikes
It'll
on
be
your
the
channel?
Jim and Emmanuel uncensored conspiracy theory.
Oh my God, we'd have so much fun. Oh my God, we
Let's
got to
do
do that.
this. Text
Madam
Do
me.
Claudia is
that.
saying, Madam Claudia is talking to Jim.
Jim, what's up? You know what I call my WhatsApp, Madam Claudia? What's crap? What's crap?
What's up?
Because it's so much. It takes up all
Yeah,
my
I'll never touch it.
Yeah. No, he's not. But Jim, text me.
Wow.
I'll screenshot all the information and forward it to you. Because Jim know WhatsApp is not what's up. Signal.
It's what's
Signals
not.
what's
Yeah.
up. Exactly. Signals what's up, or other places, when we get safer. Yeah, WhatsApping what's up. Okay, I'll talk to you. Love y'all, everybody. Jim, let's get
Love
on our
you.
show
Bye
now.
bye.
Chakuti, and new being me. Ooh, it's gonna
Woo!
be bad. Spicy,
It's gonna
like
be good. It's gonna be
your
good.